Hi guys, I wanted to share with you this miniature scene that I created for a shadow box. So I wanted to shoot this first before I put it into the shadow box so that you get a better idea of all the little elements that are in it. So let me start with this dressing table. I made this by hand. I used plate holders to show you something like this, and I broke off these knobs at the back, and I just used these sides, and I spray painted them. So it was just for a pack of 3. This was the smallest one, the one that I used, second one, and I have another larger one. So as you can see, the piece here, and for the rest of it I used matte board. So I have these 2 pieces here, and I spray painted the whole thing. So let me show you the shelf. There's a little shelf here and a drawer and another shelf at the bottom. So there it is. So okay, and I use a regular mirror here to make for the mirror, and for the frame for the mirror I used this is a really old bracelet that I had. So I really liked how shabby chic this turned out. Okay, for the vase here I use a large bead. This is a glass bead with some gold detailing on it. Let me see if I can zoom in, get a better picture. Okay, that's the detailing on it. It looks really like a vase. These are ready-made cabbage roses, really tiny cabbage roses, and what I did is I just arranged them in the way that I liked, and I stuck them through the hole, and I stuck them into the hole, and I glued them together. Okay, down here I have this little book that I made. I downloaded it off the internet, and I glued the pages inside it, and I inked it to make it all distressed and vintagey. So for the other elements I used this old lace that I had. It had these little flowers sort of on it, so it had this layer and another one, and so I took them apart. I cut this out, I took them apart, and I stained it with pink ink, and I glued them down as mats or doilies or whatever you call them. I created this little handbag out of satin lace, satin ribbon, and I used jewelry findings. Just a second, it's stuck. So let me just zoom in. This little handbag, and I used a little bit of jewelry findings to finish it off, and I have these bead trim to make the handles. So I can do a tutorial for this, and if you want me to do a tutorial, you can post a request, and I'll do a video for the little handbag. So for the other elements, I really love these. I really love how these turned out. These are actually little flat beads, and these are made of shells. So I made this little compact blush, I think, with a little mirror. I punched out a little hole. I stuck 2 of them together at 90 degrees, and I added a little nail polish. And I saw this tutorial online, and it's a little kid who does this videos. I can't remember her name, but if I find her, I'll definitely put her link, because she specifically asked people to give her credit for this tutorial. She'd use buttons, but she'd use buttons for a tutorial, and I used shell beads for mine. But then whatever, it was her idea, and I think it's pretty neat. So these 2 stuck together at a 90-degree angle, and I think it looks pretty neat. Again, for the hand mirror, I have a bead here and a jewelry finding. There's a bead cap that I folded in half, and a flat shell bead again, and a little golden bead here, and a little bead again to make the hand mirror. This again is a tutorial that I found on Pinterest, and I made this little ring box, and it has a, let me get more light on it. It has some satin ribbon on it, and a little, this is a spacer this is a bead spacer with little jewels on it, and I stuck it down there to look like a ring. I really love how this turned out. This is a really neat tutorial, this little ring box. Okay, again, this is a Pinterest inspiration. This little what are these called? This is a lamp, a oil lamp. Yes, that's what they call. It's an oil lamp. It has a very neat, I used a bead cap, a big large bead cap down there, and a beautiful bead. Again, some spaces here, a bead cap here, and then clear beads, and then a bead spacer, and then I used a pin for to make the knob. So that's how I made that. This little watch here, again, I use a button as the back. This is a button, and I printed the face off the internet, and I used small cut pieces of pins to make the hands. And this is an actual knob from a watch to make that dial there. I don't know what these are called. So that's that. And here I printed off some pages of the internet, and I created this little book. It was very simple, and I inked the pages, and I just glued them down to look like a book. I used this is a jewelry, this is an earring. I stained it, I painted it silver, and I glued it down for glasses. This again is a shell, the hand fan. It's a shell, and it has a, let me zoom in, see if I can get a better light in it. Okay, and it has a bead cap and some these tiny springs to form the handle, and this is all on a head pin. So I really love how this turned out. This bead was as it is, so I was pretty lucky when I found that. I was excited, and the moment I saw it, I thought I'm going to turn it into a hand fan. So for these little beauties here, these are again glass beads which have beautiful paint details on them. Let me see if I can get more light. Sorry about that. And just clear it. It's not clearing up. Okay, there you go. And I made these perfume bottles and lotion bottles with different beads and jewelry findings. I used a little rose, ceramic rose, to form the top of this one. Here it is. I use a simple small piece of mirror, and this is actually a trim. So I created this tray here. Really love how it has turned out. Zoom out on this. So that's the dressing table. Moving on to this side of the room. Here I have at the bottom, my mom loves ironing clothes. I mean, it's not that she needs to do it, it's just a pastime for her. So I had to have an iron here, a very really vintage looking iron. It's again a jewelry finding. This is a charm. I made these two here, a shoe box and a hat box. It's very easy, but and I stuck in some lace inside the hat box. I ran out of time. I wanted to make some heels for her, but then I guess I'll add them the next time around. You can open this up. I used a little image of the internet too, and I stained it. I'll do a tutorial on how I made the shoebox and the hat box. You can post a request and I'll see I can make one as soon as possible. So oh, I stained the edges on the shoebox and just used simple cardstock. For the table, what I did was, this actually is the metal plate from a compact. Once your compact are, you can, I took off all the remaining of the compact in it, and I heated up the plastic part of the compact, and this just simply popped out, this metal plate, and I spray painted it. I created the legs with some wire, and you can't see it. Let me just flip it over. Okay, that's the table. And I spray painted the entire thing. I made 3 legs and I spray painted it and I stuck them together. And that's how I made the tiny table. I love, this is one of my favorite elements in this shadow box, this little terrarium that I create. It's got these tiny little plants in it. Get more light. And some tiny shells. I'm going to have a tutorial of this up in a couple of days. So you have a little this cute little terrarium. I made it on a wooden button. I stained the button brown to form a plate, and then you have the terrarium with little plants. Okay, this again is a bead, and I stuck in these stamens that you can buy at any any craft store at the flower making section. So I stuck them down there. I have a little metal bead here with a metal bead finding and a little feather to make a quill. I have some I printed out these old letters and I stained and tore them a little bit, and I even added a little coffee mug stain down there. So okay, yeah, I forgot about this part. I used a lace and I ran some pink ribbon through it, and I used it as a runner on the table. I used a plastic cap and I painted it white. I sprayed it white and I used it as a tray for these little sewing tray. I'll do a tutorial for this as well. This is a ready-made jewelry finding, and I made these tiny, I used ribbons for these spools. These spools are pretty simple. I just cut out little pieces of mat board. I didn't even color or stain them, and I just used them as is, and I wrapped the strings around, or the ribbons around it, and I created these little spools. Let me just zoom in. Okay, and for this again I use a piece of white satin ribbon, and this is just simply a golden ring, and I embroidered this little rose with some satin ribbon, and this was too tiny to do, so I just cut a piece of a ribbon and stuck it down there. So that's how I created that. Okay, I almost forgot this map that you see down here. Let me get a better idea here. This was pretty simple to make. This is actually, I used some string and I just cut a piece of circle the size that I wanted for the rug, and I started right down at the center. I applied glue generously on the piece of the circle that I had cut, and I just twirled it around and and I glued this thing, the string all over it, and I think it looks pretty neat. Oops. cover fell off. So there you go, my little dressing table and sewing table. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please follow my link and leave some comments. Love you. Bye.